Hello, and welcome to FareCompare's video podcast number 41. And you are probably wondering where Rick Cini is. Well, he's on vacation. Lucky Rick. But we have standing in for him our Vice President of Marketing, Billy Sonnets. Billy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad, I always get to watch the podcast, never get to be part of it. So it's actually kind of cool to be part of it today.
It is cool, and it's exciting. And coming up today, we've got, and I'm going to read from my computer, 6 last-minute strategies to find last-minute getaways, the good, the bad, and the unknown of Brexit, which is yours. You know all about that, and maybe we can find out more about that amazing situation. The adventurous event of the week is going to be a fun thing for both of us to learn about. It's called the Pick-a-thon. I have no idea at the moment, but we're going to find out, and we're going to share this information. And of course, we're going to take a question from a customer, and we love those. Rick in particular loves those, and I'll bet he's, hanging around some beautiful location right now just thinking, gosh, if only I could answer a customer question, but maybe not.
I don't know why I didn't go. I'm like the only one around here who speaks Italian, so I should have gone.
What can I say? Rick, I suppose, should have invited you.
I know, should have invited me. It's like, and everybody's coming into my office now, so hey, we're doing the podcast. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, let's start with the 6 last-minute strategies to find last-minute getaways, and this is particularly good if you're one of those people that may have been saying, I'm just not going to go anywhere this year. Either I don't have money or I don't have time or, whatever. And then you start hearing about all these deals out there, and there are a ton of deals. I mean, you've seen all these deals to Europe, I know. And domestically, today, as we speak, is Tuesday, which is the big sale day for the podcast. Is the big sale day for FareCompare. We have a ton of sales, but and JetBlue has got deals from $34 one way, pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, let's go through the 6 strategies that will help you get a last-minute getaway. It is still possible. It's a little tricky, so this will help. And number 1, Billy?
Yeah, well, compare fares, right? I mean, obviously, it's a basic thing. You just can't go with the first one. So, you got to look at every single airline, and you got to make sure that you're looking what works well also for you, right? So if you want to go direct to the airline site, or it's you're going to have to probably do on average about 5 or 6 different searches. So that's why we have our search results page, right? We put all of those together in one place. We put, actually, I think I was counting the other day, it's like 150 different sources worth of data that we put together to make sure that we're seeing everything for that search that people are making.
And I think a lot of people who just go to one airline site and then book their tickets, they don't realize that no airline, no matter how cheap they advertise, no single airline always has the best deal. Yep. We have proved this time and time again. Rick wrote about this for, I think it was a USA Today column just a couple of months ago, and we had some situations where American had a cheaper deal than the Spirit flight. Wow. You just can't tell. Nobody always has the best deal.
Yeah, you got to look at it. I mean, if you think about it, there's a certain number of seats that each airline gets to sell, usually for like the lowest price. So, what if Spirit sells them out faster than American, or Frontier has something, or United is doing a one-way or a one-stop, right? I mean, you're not seeing all of them at once. So that's the key. It's being able to compare it. But it could take you a long time if you don't do it right.
Yeah. Another thing is look for cheaper destinations. I mean, if you're going on a getaway just because you want to get away, there are a lot of places that are great places that are cheap,
Yeah.
cheap this year, depending on where your departure city is. But we've seen excellent deals from two, Dallas and Denver and Seattle. Washington, D.C. has come up this year as a cheaper destination from a lot of places. In fact, that JetBlue sale I mentioned earlier, they've got Hartford, Washington, D.C., $34 each way. That's a deal.
Yeah, that's pretty easy, right? I mean, and $34 each way. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, that's if you're
Yeah.
going to take that, if you're going to drive that, that's like 3.5 tanks of gas each way, right? So, for 2 tanks, you can go back and forth.
Europe has got some cheap destinations too. Dublin, Shannon, Ireland is traditionally cheap, but this year, thanks to low-cost carriers, we're seeing a lot of Scandinavian deals. I mean, real deals. Plus, surprisingly, a lot of deals to Paris.
Oh yeah.
Even in the summertime, but particularly after August 23rd, and we'll get to August 23rd in just a minute.
Yeah, no, my cousin just booked a flight. She paid $698 from Seattle to Munich.
Excellent, excellent.
So I mean, it's just she's like so pumped to go, especially around October. She's going to be there right before October, or in September, right before Oktoberfest. So she's really excited. She's never been there, but it's a great deal, especially from Seattle.
Another thing that you can do is fly cheaper days. I think a lot of FareCompare fans already know that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday are almost always, traditionally, the cheaper days for domestic flights. And the expensive days are when we all want to fly, which is Friday and Sunday. So, and as for international destinations, it's typically a little cheaper, not always, but usually to fly like midweek. So if you can... for example, you're looking for a getaway, try to avoid taking off Friday night and coming back Sunday night. If you could do Saturday to Tuesday, you could really see significant savings.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, travel when nobody else wants to travel, and then you'll save a boatload of money. It's a little bit of an inconvenience if you think about it, but if you plan right, it's not an inconvenience. I mean, you're going to take 2 days off from work, right? So either take your Friday and Monday, or you take Monday and Tuesday, right? And then go back to work on Wednesday, and it's a very short week, 3 days, and then you're on the weekend again. So it's actually not a bad combo that not a lot of people use.
Well, you mentioned inconvenience, and that brings us to our next one. What is inconvenience worth to you? You've got to weigh the factors. How much are you saving? How much longer is that day going to be for you for traveling? And this is where it comes in on number 4. If you can avoid a nonstop, usually a flight with a stop, a connecting flight, is cheaper. Not always. So you've got to compare. But for longer haul flights, if you don't mind adding a stop, adding some time to your day, sometimes you can save 50% of the airfare. So, I mean, it could be really, really worth it, especially, if you're with a group of friends or family. We're talking about a pile of money.
Yeah, no, we went to, and we would try to go to San Juan every September because I just love it. And so it's 4 of us, right? So we could have gone from Dallas straight to San Juan, and actually we did one leg through Miami, and we saved, I think, $85 each, right? So 85 times 4 actually goes a long way, right? So the key thing, I mean, I have 2 little kids, 5 and a 3-year-old. We had to go through is like, okay, we're going to be in a different airport. This is what we're going to do. So we planned it out right, and it actually worked out. Actually, they loved it because they were able to go to another state, and we talked about another state. So we created a little story to keep them occupied and not to just go nuts in Miami.
Also, I think it's nice for kids because it gives them a chance to stretch their legs, i.e., run around the airport like madmen, and then they sort of run themselves out, and you don't have to worry about them, having fun kicking the back of the seat in front of them.
Yeah, well, I wish that worked for my daughter Lila. She's like the Energizer Bunny. She's not the one that kicks in the back of the seat, but she just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. After 8 hours, then she'll fall asleep. But that girl's got stamina.
Another thing you can do to save some money is to delay travel. We talked about this briefly before. If you can wait till August 23rd, fly that date and beyond, that's good for domestic flights, that's good for flights to Europe. In general, no rule is always 100%, but in general, you'll save some money. So if you could just delay,
Yes, for sure. I mean, think about it, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. Everybody's like done with their vacations, kids are going back to school or college. There's just business travel, right? And sometimes it's soft in September. There's not a lot of demand. So it kind of creates this like broad, low season. So, take advantage of that, right? So, and actually, not only will you find a cheaper fare, but more than likely the hotels won't be full, so you'll be able to get a better rate.
One more thing, we always say to people, travel light, use a carry-on. I used to always pack a big suitcase until Rick Cini set me straight, and he really did. I mean, I thought I couldn't live without bringing this or that or the other thing, and I like to have enough clothes so I could decide what I wanted to wear. Well, I'll tell you what, save yourself time and money and decide precisely what you're going to wear before you travel, and you will be amazed at how much easier it is. I know you know this.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can pack in 15 minutes, and it's a carry-on in my backpack. And I kind of have this philosophy: I can wash it, or if I don't have it, I can buy it. Right? I think I've bought a shirt once in the past 5 years when I'm on the road, other than the obligatory T-shirt that you got to buy when you go to a new place or something. But yeah, no, it's so much easier. You get out of the plane, you go to if you're doing a rental car, or you're taking a taxi or an Uber or something. It's just a lot faster. You don't have to wait 45 minutes. For your bag to come out, especially here at DFW Airport when you come back. Just seems to take longer and longer at DFW Airport sometimes. So, yeah, save some time.
One last thing. Airlines used to have weekend specials. Yeah. That has pretty much gone the way of free meals and coach. However, United still does it. So if that interests you, these are typically flights that leave either late Friday or sometime on Saturday, and you return Monday or Tuesday. Check them out, but do not buy without first comparing on a search site, like FareCompare, because you may find something cheaper.
Yeah, and even I'll always say this too is think of the weekend as a different thing, right? Just like what we were saying. You want to take 4 days off, take Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday, right? It's that Tuesday that people don't want to fly. So there's alternative ways to do it, and think of the weekend a little bit different.
Let's talk Brexit now. The good, the bad, the unknown, and unfortunately, the unknown is that's the big question. So, what do we know, Billy? What do we know?
Okay, so we know that they voted to get out of the Union, right? The European Union. The referendum went through. We know that it actually is going to take a bit for this divorce to actually happen. Yeah. It still has to go through Parliament. There's like a lot of intricacies how the economies are tied and the treaties and all these different things that are happening. So I think right now we're hearing a lot of things and people are being maybe a little bit cautious. But what we have seen and we continue to see is that prices are still really good, especially late July, August, September, right? Especially after August 23rd, they even go down even more. You can still get to Europe for again, just like my cousin is going, for under $700, which is an amazing fare.
It's funny. I noticed that the London prices are not so super, and that's the one you would expect it to be. Yeah. Of the big three being London, Paris, and Rome, London tends to be the most expensive, at least right now. Yeah. And we just saw this on a United has a sale to Europe, and it's actually a pretty good one. Come to FareCompare and you'll see it. Yeah. But so airfares can be very good if you're flying from the U.S., depending on where you're going. The exchange rate can be very good as well. Yep. I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, the pound has fallen 15% compared to the dollar. So think about it. It's just like you have a 15% bonus in your spending money, and that even can translate into savings into hotels. I was looking at a variety of hotels and some of the room night drops that they've had in the past week, and I see anything between 10 and 15% in London, Edinburgh, even in places like Madrid and Frankfurt, right? So there's a big drop. The one other peculiar thing that we are seeing as a fact is right after the vote on Thursday, starting Friday, searches for flights to London and flights from London increased tremendously. They went up about 30% the first couple of days, and now they're up 40%, right, compared to what they were before the Brexit vote. So, you know, the behavior that I'm seeing is folks in the United States, maybe they're just trying to get a good deal.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're hearing an advice, or they're seeing that the prices are still low, so they're actually searching for it. But what I believe the folks over in the UK are thinking is, oh my gosh, fares may go up. If I'm planning to go to the US or anywhere, maybe I should look for it now and secure it now before the pound gets devaluated even more, before fares go up. I mean, if there's a devaluation over the pound, is fuel in the UK going to go up relatively, right? Because oil is pegged to the dollar. So, you know, are the airlines going to pass that on? I think that's sort of the questions that the travelers have now. So I think that's why in the UK they're more like, oh my gosh, I need to book that fare.
We're going to be following this story, I know, and providing all kinds of updates as soon as we learn more or, you know, hear anything. But I was wondering if some of those searches, that 30% increase from the U.S., if at least some of them could have been journalists that were caught flat-footed by this story and suddenly found out, hey, they're going to leave. We better go cover this.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, a little bit maybe of that, but it's just broad. I mean, 40%, even on a destination that's extremely popular, 40% is a lot, right? So, you know, we've seen it at FareCompare.com, and we saw it on all of the other global distribution systems that we're starting to see those numbers go up.
Let's take a question from a customer. Okay, Lori from Denver, she says, I know that Rick recommends buying airfare to Europe about 3 to 5 months in advance. And that's like the best window that Rick talks about all the time. However, sometimes he changes his recommendations when it pertains to a holiday like Christmas. And she's saying, should I start shopping earlier than 5 months for my Christmas trip to Barcelona? I am not totally flexible, as I want an itinerary that has only one stop and would like to avoid a layover longer than 4 hours or so. So she has conditions that she wants to meet. Feel free to jump right in. My gut reaction is it's Christmas. And in Europe, Christmas is going to be more expensive, just as it is here. You know, you look at, if you see sales for, you know, Europe, they typically, like, you know, go up to December 17th and then end, and then pick up again at like around January 8th. And that's your blackout section. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive. I'm thinking, go ahead.
No, especially if she wants all those, you know, those parameters, 4 hours, only one stop, you know. It's
well, one stop might, one stop, you know, from Denver, that could work.
Yeah.
Goodness knows Barcelona has an increasing number of flights. It seems like everybody wants to go there, and with good reason. It's a beautiful city. What I'm thinking is, I don't think you have to shop before 5 months.
No.
But if we hear differently, when Mr. Cini gets back from vacation, we will tell you. But I think that would be fine. But just be aware that, you know, unless you can put your vacation like maybe before, you know, just on the edge of the start of the Christmas holiday and return on the, you know, just outside the end of New Year's, and that typically goes through January 7th, January 8th, you might be able to still snag a really good deal, but Otherwise, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. The one thing that I would do and suggest is, look at a direct flight into Europe, and then look at an alternative ticket, not just a one stop in Europe, right? Because if you're looking for only a 4-hour stop, maybe from Denver you go to Newark or to Dallas, and perhaps you can get to Barcelona quickly. But maybe if you can get to Europe and then on EasyJet or on Ryanair get to Barcelona, you could actually be saving a little bit of money if you actually don't buy that ticket together, or those segments together. Buy 2 tickets. So look at pricing it that way too.
Yeah, Rick has often said that use a cheap European city as like a launch pad for where other places that you really want to go to, like flying into Dublin, or maybe one of the Scandinavian countries. So, but again, that's it's a matter of you just got to try. Plug in destinations and dates and see if that works for you. Okay, that's not great. Adjust. Yes. And keep going. That's how I would do it for sure.
For sure.
Okay, our Adventurous app is cruising along, and it's if anybody hasn't seen it, even if you don't want to use it for deals or destinations or events, it is just loaded with beautiful pictures. I know that sounds stupid, but I love to look at it, even when I'm not thinking of going anyplace.
Yeah.
But,
no, it's a great tool. We love it. I love creating content for it. The whole team actually works on researching or events that we've been to, like this Pickathon, right? It's actually one that I got to research. I haven't been to it yet, but so it's like I like to say, it's the perfect hipster family event, right? If you want to.
Well, explain what it is. My first thought was people go there to gather berries, a pickathon.
No. I mean, it's like a really cool communal event, right? There's live music, right? Mm-hmm. There's bluegrass, which I love actually. Actually, I have a weird taste in music. From bluegrass to tango to hip hop. So.
Those always go together.
Yeah, they do, especially the tango tie-in there. But I mean, it's a really cool event, and it's actually, I don't know, just it seems like a very real event. It's on the country, right? It's
in Portland.
In Portland, so it's a little, as my wife would say, we're a little crunchy, but I mean, it's really cool. There's lots of activities for the families to do. Just hanging out, camping out, and then seeing great events. Enjoying great food, and I just love that part of the country. I mean, all the trees, and it's much cooler than Texas, So it's like 100 degrees today. So, yeah, I could use a little 85, 80 degree weather and a bit of music.
Well, please check out the Adventurous app. It is an excellent resource for events and attractions, and kind of like your personal guide to destinations that you may have never occurred to you to go to, and I think you'll be surprised and delighted. Yeah. And if you are looking for any more information on these topics covered by FareCompare, please come check out our blog and come to us to compare airfare prices. I think you'll find some deals, particularly if you don't mind waiting till end of August and early September. And just keep listening to our podcast. I'm not sure when Rick is coming back, but he will be back, and he will fill us all in with his adventures. But yes. I think, Billy, it's going to be you and me next weekend, so I'm sure the people are just going to be stampeding to come back.
I know. He's taking like a real European vacation, like 2 weeks. Oof. That's the way to go. I'm telling you. Yeah. But it's, sometimes you got to do that, especially when you go to Europe. God, I love Italy. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to have to go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.